What's going on, Eagles Nation? It's your boy Showtime 804 checking back in with you, back to it like we never left. Before we get started, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like and comment on the video as well. Tell your friends and tell their friends and tell their friends so we can build this thing on up. So, this has been a rough week as far as being an Eagles fan. It's taking me to Thursday to actually comment on Monday night's game. It's just sad, man, and it's growing frustrating week in and week out. Like every video that had to do has been pretty disappointing. It's not my normal charismatic self as far as how I feel about this team, and it's just we just keep digging ourselves further and further into a hole. That there are some issues within this team that are far more deeper than the surface than we can actually imagine. And we've turned ourselves into a laughing stock this year, being that it is 2020. What else can you expect out of that? And, we trolled a lot of Cowboy fans, Giants fans, Washington fans for how their teams carry themselves, always in the media for the wrong reasons. And it's like now it's our turn. This front office and this coaching staff, they're not doing a service to their players. We are constantly putting our guys in bad positions, hoping that they fail rather than succeed. And it's just growing tiresome as a fan because the things that we see on a weekly basis as far as what the team is doing, the front office guys, the guys who make the bigger money, they know what's going on. Doug, inability to put his quarterback in the right position. If you know your quarterback is struggling, and your quarterback does things when he's improvising. He's at his best when he's improvising on the move in a hurry up, fast paced offense. And time again, you don't put your quarterback in a position to excel in his attributes. The things that he's good at. You don't see Steph Curry hanging around in the paint. Why? Because he's an excellent three-point shooter. So he hangs out around the three-point line. And like I said, if Carson is best throwing on the move in a hurry-up type of offense, but yet you don't do anything to utilize your quarterback strengths. Now, I've seen some guys saying that, Doug is wanting Carson to fail to place Jalen Hurts in. But I think this is a wrong take because if you guys recall back in March of 2016, Doug, Howie, and Jeff Lurie all went to dinner with Carson Wentz. And after that meeting, that was the point in which they made the effort to trade up in the draft to get Carson Wentz. So I think Doug is on board with Carson as his quarterback. The problem that I'm seeing with Doug is Doug's ego has gotten way out of hand. We're seeing what unfolded in New England ultimately between quarterback and coach controversy, where Doug wants the sole credit of winning the Super Bowl. And a lot of the fans, myself included, pretty much give Carson the head nod when it comes to that Super Bowl. He put us in position to win that Super Bowl. And I think Doug is taking offense to that, which is why he's trying to rein him in and set him back. So it's like, look at me. I'm the one who did this. And because we weren't saying that as far as with Nick Foles. There was never a time where this was Nick Foles' team. And you can see the way that Doug, changed the game plans of how he went forward with Nick Foles under center. And he didn't do that for Carson. So you can pretty much see that that's reared its ugly head as far as Doug's ego. Because winning the Super Bowl was probably the worst thing that could have happened for Doug Peterson. Because, like I said, not only with this quarterback controversy, the spotlight was on him. Shortly after winning the Super Bowl, he came and said that this was going to be the new normal. He came out with the book, and he pretty much got away from things that made us successful during that run as far as, running the ball. Then we just kind of went away from having a running back, period. Especially if you remember that 2018 season, we were just riddled with injuries till we had to bring up Josh Adams off of the practice squad, and then we kind of let him go the very next year. So you can see the way that Doug is trying to handle things, and it's not good. And if you look at some of the offensive coaches that Doug has brought in, once Frank Reich and DeFilippo left, we didn't get any kind of high-caliber guys to come in afterwards because if you remember those rumblings that Jim Schwartz wasn't happy with his role, he wanted to be the head coach. And you can see that some of the defensive players that we had on the team, they faltered. So there wasn't a success story behind Jim Schwartz. Jim Schwartz had just enough pieces to function well, but not to excel, if that makes any sense. And that goes to the same thing with Howie in the front office. Doug doesn't want anyone to overshadow his coaching style. So he'll hire a bunch of yes men, offensive coordinators and position coaches that don't threaten his spot as far as being a head coach. And the same thing I said with Howie Roseman doing that. Howie Roseman bringing in some of these guys who he knows are going to be hot commodities, so that we can't make the assumption that if Howie falters, then this guy's the next place succession. So you can see the type of things that we're dealing with as far as with this franchise. And now, that we're losing people in the scouting department are addressing issues where they're telling the media that they wanted certain players, and Howie took it upon himself to draft who he wanted. Now, where there's smoke, there's fire. This rumor didn't come from anywhere. This rumor has some legs, and you can see that the way that Howie is drafting and how he's doing things. If you go back to Howie's first stint as a general manager back in 2011, yeah, Andy Reid still had say over the personnel. But if you look at Howie's draft record, it's not good. 2011, we had Danny Watkins and Jaquan Jarrett. Now, mind you, in that same draft, we had 13 picks in that draft. Nothing came from that roster outside of Jason Kelce, a 6th-round pick, mind you. So these are the type of things that we've been dealing with Howie Roseman. The proof has been in our face, but we chose to ignore it. Basically saying that, Howie was this cap wizard. He was good with contracts, but essentially he wasn't. Because if you look at the mess that we've gotten in ourselves into this year coming up with the salary cap to be, it's in the range between $50 to $70 million. Howie voiding out adding these bogus years into a contract to backload it. We're seeing now that Howie isn't possibly the best GM or the best choice of a GM that we could have had. And his time is up. Usually they say, Bill Walsh says about 10 years. Bill Walsh said that about 10 years is about the time that you should start, moving pieces around in the franchise. And this is growing true here. It's just frustrating that we can't beat Seattle. Mainly, and our defense shows up against them. They play well. But then again, the scheme shows its head. Yeah, Darius Slade didn't want help. But as a defensive coordinator, you still have to protect your player from himself. That single high look, it exposes corners because they're left on the outside, and your safety has to cover too much ground. If you move another safety back or move somebody else back into a deeper range, that makes that throwing window smaller. And quarterbacks don't feel, they'll become a little gun shy because they have to think for that extra second that, there's somebody else in that throwing window. And offensively, the Seattle runs a cover 3 defense. There's nothing that's going to change. Everything is going to be the same. Now, I know the offensive line played bad, but everything else we did offensively ran straight into the teeth of their defense. That first drive alone kind of set the toll, and I knew we were going to be for a rough night. 1st and 5, and we go 3 straight passing plays. 5 3-and-outs to start the game. Let that sink in for you. The first positive yards that we got in that game came from a Jalen Hurts throw to Alshon Jeffrey. That's horrible. It is horrible. How he has caused a quarterback controversy on this team for no reason. And I've heard former Eagle players, mainly Jamal Jackson, saying, competition should bring the best out of you. It should, but you just don't do it in that term. You never see quarterbacks. I don't care who you are in this league. Your franchise quarterback never has to look over his shoulder. Any guy that's making that big amount of money, teams don't draft their replacements. It just doesn't happen. Peyton Manning was drafted, I want to say, back in 98. The Colts did not draft a suitable quarterback until 2012, after Peyton Manning missed all of the 2011 season. Let that sink into you. So you can err on the side of caution. You know, Carson may have been injury prone, but there were plenty of options out there as far as from a backup standpoint. There weren't a rookie quarterback. Rookie quarterbacks will cause controversy because people are going to want to see what this guy can bring to the table. We could have brought in somebody like a Blake Bortles, something along that line. I'm not saying that Blake Bortles would have been the best option, but something along that type of line where we could have brought in that he doesn't. He's there that can win a game or two, but he's not going to be threatening towards your quarterback. You know, and Carson doesn't deserve all of this. The man has took everything on the chin. You know, from having his backup win the Super Bowl to just the media coming at him left and right, Brett Favre making comments, Doug Peterson shying away, you know, with certainty about Carson Wentz being his guy. He just doesn't deserve that. Now, people thinking this man can't actually play football. Now, Max Kellerman and Skip Bayless, Will Canes of the world, they're just jumping at joy to see this man struggle, and it shouldn't be that way. No quarterback has to endure what he goes through. No top-tier quarterback, I should say, where you have offensive linemen in and out of the game week by week, 10 different offensive line rotations in 11 games. Let that sink into you. You know, you see your marquee quarterbacks, they don't have to worry about if their number one receiver is going to play this week or not. Those guys are there. Aaron Rodgers always has Devontae Adams, if it's not for like a sprained ankle that he dealt with last year. You know, Patrick Mahomes always has Tyreek Hill. He always has Travis Kelce. Drew Brees always has Michael Thomas, with the exception of this year. And those guys are just fortunate they don't have to deal with that. And we're asking our guy to win under, you know, minor circumstances, like major circumstances, I should say. And it's not ordeal. Not ideal, I should say. And it's just time to clean it all up. And it's going to be hard because your GM replacement, who's going to want to come and clean up Howie's mess? The head coaching thing may be a little bit different, but you look at the optics. Philadelphia can't win without an Andy Reid guy. So the top choice from amongst most is going to be Eric Bieniemy. And I think that this is, I wouldn't be against it, but I do think that they need to give Deuce Staley a chance. And now we're seeing reports that, you know, Doug is delegating play calling responsibilities to Press Taylor. Again, another slap in the face of Deuce Staley. Deuce Staley is going to be gone. He's not going to sit around for this, you know, assistant head coach role / running back coach. He's going to want more. And what that's going to mean is you're going to lose some of your running backs. Miles Sanders isn't going to want to, you know, these guys speak highly of Deuce Staley. Miles Sanders is going to be gone. He's probably going to jump at the first chance he gets because unless we pay him, you know, high dollars, he's going to go where Deuce goes. Same thing with Boston Scott. These guys love this man. They love playing for him. They love him as a coach. So we're going to lose out on a lot of people because of the stubbornness and the egos and in which these guys in these high places have set this team up for failure. And like I said, this week has just been awful. It took, you know, 3 days after the game for me even come down and sit down and make a video. Just because I'm just so frustrated in dealing, watching with this team. Now we looking at a top 6 pick. And how we can't be the guy to make that pick because now it's going to come the third straight year you've had to use a high draft pick on a wide receiver. So it's just so many compounding issues with this team that's going to make some heads roll. And it's going to start with Jeff Lurie. Jeff Lurie is going to have to make that tough call. You don't have to necessarily get rid of Howie, but he can't be the general manager. Doug is going to need an offensive coordinator and a new defensive coordinator. But we got Green Bay on Sunday. Oh, man. But until then, fly, Eagles, fly. Let's get it.